Fired up, Suella Braverman has launched a broadside against both Gary Lineker and Elton John, labelling the pair out of touch, virtue signalling elites. The Home Secretary argued that pampered multimillionaires should not be lecturing the public on immigration policy from their villas and private jets. Elton John, who spent the summer kicking back in Saint-Tropez, had warned Braverman's rhetoric risked legitimising hate and violence, whilst Lineker said that she couldn't possibly know asylum seekers claiming to be gay were lying, after she accused some migrants of pretending to be homosexual to game the system. In what's been seen as a bid for the Tory leadership, the Home Secretary has recently ramped up her anti-migration rhetoric, branding free movement an existential threat to the West and warning that multiculturalism had failed. I find this absolutely fascinating, that if you're going to pick a fight with anybody, don't do it with a couple of national treasures. Look, whatever you think of Gary Lineker, he is very popular for what he does, and he has taken in asylum seekers. Whether you like him or not, it's a bold shout to pick a fight with him. And then Elton John, again, he has campaigned for gay rights and a range of things against all odds, and he is arguably another national treasure. By the way, both of those individuals earn a lot of money and they pay a lot of tax. So regardless of whether Suella Braverman thinks they're out of touch or otherwise, I think she's picked the fight with the wrong people, because all of us, frankly, who sit around here are not necessarily qualified to talk about asylum seekers. But we can see that Suella Braverman's policies have not worked, that her rhetoric is divisive and nasty, and that if she really wants to solve the problem and to stop the boats and do all this stuff, and by the way, for anybody who's thinking of texting me and tweeting me and Xing me and all that stuff saying, James, you're not tough on immigration, we thought better of you, and all that nonsense. I am tough on immigration. I do want to see the boat stopped, and I want to make sure that the policies are sensible. But when you've got somebody spouting rhetoric on one hand and doing nothing on the other, and then just having a go at national treasures, Suella Braverman, back in your box, shut up.
This is where you can't read the room properly, because people like her, because she's passionate. I think so. Well, let's go back to the grassroots. I don't
care whether I like her or not. It's a question of whether she's
what I'm trying
right.
to say is that she is at least she has a clear vision of what she wants to do. I'm not saying it's the right thing, but at least she is trying to sort migration out. She can see the 44,000 that came over illegally. Of course, there were 600 net migrants who came in legally last year. How are we going to pay for the schools, the hospitals, the infrastructure?
But here's the point, she's not doing anything.
She isn't doing anything apart from spouting extreme right-wing rhetoric in a bid for leadership that's divisive and nasty. Like James so rightly said, we don't often agree, but I have to agree with you on that one. She is divisive and she is nasty. And Suella, if you can't take the heat, if you can't take the criticism for your words, which are dangerous, really, really dangerous in these days and times, to be spouting this kind of rhetoric, don't say it in the first place. I mean, honestly, so I didn't think we could get a more cruel or Home Secretary than Theresa May, and we have got Cruella.
But you know,
divisive
she's polling,
and nasty.
but she's polling well.
Divisive and nasty.
Who is she polling well with?
So the people she needs to vote
so
for.
the rump Conservatives, because that is not broad appeal. That doesn't win an election.
But remember that the Conservative Party conference isn't about the message, I think, outside. This is about, and you're absolutely right, this is about her positioning herself within the party. And actually, look, she has tried to get on top of the migrant crisis. I agree, her language is inflammatory.
How?
Well, for example, with Rwanda, with Bibi Stockholm, with
Rwanda
Scampton, with Wethersfield...
Bibi Stockholm was a success, wasn't it?
But remember, the whole point that underpins all of this is we need to leave the ECHR.
David, you spend that amount of money and waste it, you should be out of a job. Seriously?
No, but actually, Tessa makes a really good point, because and as do you, because the Conservative Party conference is not the wider electorate. And this is a problem that Conservative Party has at the moment, because the Conservative Party isn't one party anymore, it's two parties. They have they've sucked in the people who used to vote UKIP, who used to vote, the Brexiteers, because once Boris got Brexit done,
which he didn't.
Which he didn't, which is why I put it in inverted commas. They felt that, therefore, job done. All those people would come back into the fold. But actually what they discovered is they have two parties within a party. And Suella is trying to appeal to one side of the party. Meanwhile, the old, One Nation Tories feel completely repulsed by her. And I do wonder if in opposition, which I think we all probably think the Tories will be in after the next election, whether the party will have some sort of split.
What I love best is that she's broadened out her whipping stick. Do you remember originally it was just the tofu-eating, Guardian reading, woke-karate?
Yeah.
You know, I switched newspapers immediately when I heard that she potentially didn't like me. And now she's moved on to the pampered elite, the very rich pampered elite. And I think that's smacks really of desperation that she has to go for. I mean, you call them national treasures. I mean, I can't say that I think Gary's... I find him divisive, actually. He's just so pleased with himself. And I'm somebody who's meant to be on the so-called progressive left, and I wouldn't...
But it's funny that she picks on them, and yet she's just come back from Washington. So what kind of pampered elite is she? Well, she's flying around, she's doing this, she's got government...
She's the
places,
hard edge.
But she's a hard edge. So all the stuff that she does off the back of us, the taxpayer, via government, that's not pampered elite, but somebody's actually gone out, actually earned it, actually made a living...
I'm telling
and
you,
been extremely good.
In the Red Wall, they will agree with her. They will see very rich people dictating policy when people, particularly in the Red Wall, want the migrant
David,
issue
that's true,
sorted.
but a lot of those Red Wall seats are lost already.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see who else she is
And also, they
turning
love
off.
their football, and nobody
that's a
has
good
to do
point.
what Gary says, girls and boys.
Well,